And joining us now with reaction to the Governor Palin interview is our own Fox News contributor. We call him the architect, Karl Rove. Karl, welcome back. Good to see you.
Good to be here. Thanks.
All right, I got to tell you, that was, by the way, what we've aired tonight is less than half the interview in the time that we spent with Governor Palin, but I want to get your perception.
I thought she was particularly strong on three areas. Obviously, energy, where she's very fluent and conversant in it. I think she did a great job on that. Showed why McCain is giving her the role of working on energy security issues. I thought she did awfully well on bipartisanship and the necessity of reform. You could sort of see it. It was a constant theme throughout. She kept popping up on talking about how Washington was gridlocked, the hyper-partisanship, and I thought that really was a compelling and very credible performance. Finally, I thought it was interesting. There were insights throughout the conversation about her relationship with McCain where you learned something about Palin and you learned something about McCain. For example, when she was talking about Anwar with you, Sean, I thought it was interesting that she acknowledged that he didn't agree with her, that they had agreed to disagree. But then she said something I thought really revealing. She said one of the refreshing things about John McCain was that he didn't have you check your opinions at the door. And having been there, I know this is really important for a president to have an open mind like that and to encourage among particularly his close confidants and associates that kind of willingness to disagree.
Let me ask you this, because we've got this whole issue, and one of the first questions I asked her is the attacks now by Senator Biden and Senator Obama is, that Senator McCain said the fundamentals of the American economy are strong. And I'm thinking about this, and I know we've got our problems. Certainly we've been watching the Wall Street issues. Certainly people have real concerns. But I'm wondering on the converse side of that, is Senator Barack Obama suggesting our economy is not a strong economy? Is he sending a signal to the world? Is that presidential? It almost seems like he's panicked and inexperienced and has never seen these cycles before.
Yeah, well, it's one thing to say, look, we face challenges, which, if you recall, Senator McCain said the fundamentals of the economy are strong, but we're facing a crisis and challenge. And it's one thing to say, look, we're going to be resolute. We can get through this. We got the best workforce in the world. We got innovation and technology and a flexible economy, and we'll be able to overcome bubbles like the housing bubble and problems like Wall Street. But we got challenges, and we need to work on them. It's another thing to seem to be divorced from reality. Senator Obama is attempting to make Senator McCain look like he's divorced from reality. The problem is, anybody who wants to pay attention to it is seeing that Senator McCain made a longer comment with which most Americans would associate themselves, and by truncating that comment, Senator Obama is raising questions about his own credibility.
Let me ask you this, and I tried to get into this with the Congresswoman moments ago here. There's been 354 lawmakers that got money from Fannie and Freddie from 1989 to 2008. The second biggest recipient was Senator Barack Obama. Now, we also have his two close friends and economic advisors. One's named Jim Johnson, the other's named Franklin Raines, and they're up to their eyeballs in
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, look, I agree. In fact, if there was one weakness in Palin's presentation, Governor Palin's presentation, I thought she was pretty good on the economy. But both she and John McCain need to be very forceful, in my opinion, in identifying the source of this contagion. All of this bad stuff on Wall Street happened because people got greedy, and the greed started at Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And I know this because 5 years ago, the administration was alerted by the regulator, James Lockhart, that there was insufficient authority and that these institutions, particularly Fannie, were out of control, that they'd gotten way too big, that because they were a government-sponsored enterprise, they were able to borrow money at a lower rate than their private competitors, and that they were using that lending power, that borrowing power, not to provide mortgages to low and moderate income, but they were using it as a hedge fund to begin to back up the bad paper that was being generated by people like Countrywide. We had a bunch of bad lenders out there who said, let's start issuing loans without documentation. Let's give loans to people who are paying nothing down and interest only. And it was Fannie that was buying this paper and facilitating this greed on Wall Street and greed in some of the mortgage companies that was what started this financial problem.
Karl, I don't understand.
And I got to tell you, for 5 years, I was part of an effort at the White House to fight this, and our biggest opponents on the Hill who blocked us at every step of the way were people like Chris Dodd and Barney Frank. And Fannie and Freddie are the $200 billion contagion at the center of this.
We don't have a lot of time here, but I don't know how John McCain and Sarah Palin present themselves as reformers. She took oil money when she ran for lieutenant governor. John McCain has oil lobbyists. Rick Davis whose campaign manager was a lobbyist for Fannie and Freddie. So I don't understand how these people are reformers.
With all due respect, you can rattle on all you want about this, but look, if this is the standard, then you have to tell me why Tom Daschle is in charge of the transition for Senator Obama, and why Jim Johnson, the former head of Fannie Mae, was the head of his vice presidential search committee, and why Franklin Raines is one of his close advisors.
All right,
I mean,
that's fine.
we can get in this tit for tat all day long. The fact of the matter is that John McCain and Sarah Palin are reform-minded mavericks, and the American people see them as such.
So all candidates have oil-related lobbyists they all have people in the financial community running their campaigns and as lobbyists on their campaign. McCain has more lobbyists. McCain took more lobbyist money.
Look,
you can't paint him as a sole reformer.
Axelrod, the chief consultant to the Obama campaign, makes his principal living by having a grassroots lobby firm to even out his billings in between elections. Please do not sit there and lecture me that the special interest money from trial lawyers and from labor unions somehow disappears because you found 19 people inside the McCain campaign who've been lobbyists.
Well, actually, Public Citizen says 59 lobbyists raising money for his campaign, more than any other presidential candidate who is running this time. But you can't paint a one-sided picture and say McCain is the one reformer who has none of this stuff. He's totally clean, and everybody else is on the take, or he's got some kind of dirtiness associated.
Alan, you sound suspiciously like that Obama commercial that calls him dishonorable. Nobody believes that John McCain, who took on Jack Abramoff and campaign finance reform, is in the pocket of lobbyists. And just like they don't think, like Senator Obama scandalously says in his ad, that Senator McCain is dishonorable.
I'm not saying he's dishonorable. I'm saying he's not like everybody else. He's got more lobbyists than any other candidate who ran this.
Alan, please. You're just embarrassing yourself. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but
I think that's a rather
ridiculous.
Insulting thing to say, Carl, when I'm pointing out a fact that he has X number of lobbyists who are working on his campaign.
What?
That's a fact.
He has a campaign. He probably has 2,000 or 3,000 fundraisers raising money for his campaign of major gifts. He has tens of thousands of volunteers. So what, Alan, if 19 of them are lobbyists?
Well, then you can't paint him as a sole reformer here. We're going to come more with Karl Rove coming up after the break. Plus,